Okay, so now that we know how to do birthday cake for greatest common factor, least common multiple, and prime factorization, we're going to use birthday cake for real life applications or word problems. So remember, any word in red, you need to write down in your notebooks. A word problem that has to deal with greatest common factor will ask you to split things into smaller sections, equally distribute, how many people to invite, or to arrange something into groups. So if you have a question that's asking you one of these things, it's greatest common factor. Least common multiple will ask you about an event that repeats, to purchase multiple items to have enough, to figure out when something will happen again at the same time. So if you have a question that's asking one of these things to do, it's going to be least common multiple. So let's look at our first example. Samantha has 2 pieces of cloth. One piece is 72 inches wide and the other piece is 90 inches wide. She wants to cut both pieces into strips of equal width. How wide should she cut each strip? So we want to underline the key word and circle the key numbers. Now, if you have a hard time finding the key word, look at these questions down here. Do you see any of these words in the question? I do. The question I see, the word I see is equal with, and I see equally here. Or split things into smaller sections, which is actually what we're doing. So that's what we're going to do, and 72 is our number, and 90 is our other number. So if you look back at the top, this is a greatest common factor question. So we have to find the greatest common factor of 72 and 90. So we do our lovely birthday cake. We try the number 2. Remember, the numbers we use are 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. And I always just like to write those off to the side so I don't forget. So 2 goes into 72 36 times. 2 goes into 90 45 times. We cannot use 2 again. 2 doesn't go into 45 because 45 is an odd number. It ends in the number 5. But 3 does work if you look at your times table chart. 3 goes into 36 18 times. It goes into 45, it goes into 36 12 times. That's my bad. And it goes into 45 15 times. Okay, we can't use 2 anymore, but we can still use 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And we're done because 4 and 5 are next to each other in the number line. Now, I'm using greatest common factor, which means I'm drawing the letter G. So in my G, I have 3 times 3 times 2. 3 times 3 is 9, times 2 is 18. So how wide should she cut each strip? The answer is 18 inches. And remember, when you have word problems, you have word answers. Okay, our next problem is Ben exercises every 12 days and Isabel exercises every 8 days. Ben and Isabel both exercise today. How many days will it be until they exercise together again? So we're going to underline the key word again and circle the key numbers. In this one, every is a key word because it's something that's repeating. And again is a key word. Something that happens over and over again or repeats is a least common multiple problem. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. And I'm looking at the number 12 and the number 8. So what I have to do is a birthday cake to find the least common multiple of 12 and 8. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, 12 and 8, not 18. So 2 works. 2 goes into 12 6 times. It goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 2 goes into 4 twice. And am I finished? How do you know? If you said it's because they're next to each other in the number line, you're right. Now, since I'm finding least common multiple, the letter I'm going to draw is a what? It's an L. You're right. It's right there. So I'm going to take all the numbers in my L. 2 times 2 times 3 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24. So the question says, how many days will it be until they exercise together again? The answer is 24 days. Okay, your next question is, Miss Evans has 120 crayons and 30 pieces of paper to give to her students. What is the largest number of students she can have in her class so that each student gets an equal number of crayons and paper? Is this a greatest common factor or least common multiple? Why? Well, I'll tell you why. One of the key words that sticks out to me is large. Now, does large sound like it goes with greatest, or does it sound like it's going to go with least? Large is kind of like the word greatest, right? So it's going to be greatest common factor, and the reason is we're dividing things up equally. And when you divide things up equally, you're finding the greatest common factor. So let's do that with the number 120 and 30. So you go ahead and do it, hit pause. And when you think you have your answer, go ahead and play. Okay, so first of all, check your cake to make it look like mine. If it doesn't, correct it and see what you did wrong. And then the answer you should have got was 30 students. Remember, the question says, what is the largest number of students she can have in her class? So the answer would be 30 students. So if you were able to get that, excellent job. Okay, Z1077 gave away a $100 bill for every 100th caller. Every 30th caller received free concert tickets. How many callers must get through before one of them receives both a coupon and a concert ticket? Now, are you dividing something up equally, or is this something that's repeating over and over again? If you said something that's repeating over and over again, you're right, and that's least common multiple. Remember, least common multiple is used when things repeat over and over again. I don't know why that keeps doing that, so let's try this. Let's try it again here. So it's going to be least common multiple because it's something that repeats. Every is a good word there. That's a repeating word. When you see that word every, it's almost every single time least common multiple. So we want to figure out the least common multiple for the 100th caller and the 30th caller. So go ahead and hit pause, do the birthday cake, and see what you get. Okay, so check your cake, make it look like mine. And since we were finding least common multiple, we had to draw an L. And the answer you should have gotten is 2 times 5 times 10 times 3, which is 300. Remember, the question says, how many callers? So it's going to take 300 callers. So 300 people are going to have to call before it's every 100th person and 30th person before they get both the prizes. Okay? So that is how you do least common multiple and greatest common factor in word problems. The hardest part is just picking out that key word. And remember, the word every is for least common multiple. It's repeating. Equally or greatest, largest, that's going to be greatest common factor. So make sure your problem looks like mine, and that should do it. So remember, for greatest common factor and least common multiple, that's what it should look like. It's really just about the keywords.